Before we started our church, our first church t-shirt for camps, it just said Love Chow To. It had a little heart. It just said Love Chow To. And that was our focus, to take God's love to the community. And so our church is called God's Love Church, Zu Ai Jiao Hui.
If God is calling you into a particular place to start a church, I believe that He's also preparing people there to work with you and preparing people to hear the gospel. So you should be praying and asking God to show you where are those Christians who are in that community who you can partner with. Because we can't do this alone. You know, God sent us here, but we need our local brothers and sisters to work with us together as the body of Christ to start a church. And then be praying for those opportunities that God will show you how you can connect with the community, how you can show His love.
Larry and Michelle have been with us since the beginning, so 5 years. Initially, they worked exclusively with the children, and more recently they've been in the service, leading worship. Their whole family, their son in guitar, sometimes their daughters play something, or sing with a mic, so it's a real family affair. They're both very gifted in storytelling and a great asset at our summer camps and in Sunday school.
We're reaching very much where our target is working class, more blue-collar people, less educated people. There are towns and villages around here where there is either no church, or there's a church that may have been there for many years, but they're not reaching a large part of that demographic. There may have been a church that was planted by missionaries 50, 60, 70 years ago, and they were using a model of church that was very common back then, and they still are following that model where it's a very formal, everyone comes and dresses nicely and sits in the pews and listens to the pastor preach, and people from a more traditional religion background, they're not, most people are not going to be reached by that. They feel comfortable here. We're very informal. We have small group discussions after our message on Sunday where people can ask their questions. We had one young guy come who's now a Christian, and he said to me one day, he said, you know, I've been checking out several different churches in Kaohsiung because he was very curious about Christianity. He was searching spiritually. And he said, you know, your church is really different. I come here and I get to ask my questions. And you really listen to me and you really try and answer my questions. And I go to other churches and, you know, they sing and they have their sermon, and then basically the sermon ends and everybody goes home. And I don't get a chance to interact with anyone and to ask my questions. I don't want that to be a criticism of other churches, but just, you know, we're trying to do something differently to reach people who are not reached by your more traditional form of church. People who come from a kind of idol worshiping, traditional folk religion background, they have no understanding of who God is, what the Bible teaches. You've got to find a way to connect and give them a chance to ask their questions and just in that kind of informal, more informal environment.
I think just to be a presence in the community in as many ways as possible. Recently we had a lady come and we said, how did you hear about the church? And she said, oh, there was some literature left at a bakery. And the bakery owner told me about your church. The bakery owner doesn't come to the church.
He's not a Christian.
But they were willing to have literature put in their shop for people to pick up. And our town isn't very big, but she said, I had no idea there was a church in this town. And then I heard from the baker about this place, so she came over. And somebody else came over last week and donated a xylophone to the church. And we said, how did you find us? He said, oh, online. I saw your website. So that would be another thing, just to, you know, making your presence felt in different ways.
We would love to see the church continue to grow, and we would like to see the church grow to the point where we're seeing other churches started in some of the communities around us. That's really part of our vision, is to grow like bamboo, because bamboo spreads out from the kind of parent plant. And we want to see the church grow, see more people come to Christ and find life